Hello guys, how you doing? It's me, JaackMaate. Welcome back to the JaackMaate Podcast. Nozza, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, mate.
Ask me how I am.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you, mate. And we are here today with possibly our biggest guest yet. It's Mr. Eddie Hearn. How you doing, Eddie?
Good.
You all right?
You say I'm the biggest guest yet, but you have pre-filming, you were actually saying that you've never heard of me, and you basically you had to do all your research last night, and you don't really know a lot about boxing. So what else can we talk about?
Well, usually we just get scummy YouTubers on.
Yeah, exactly.
So
well,
you are a step
I'm
up.
a scummy boxing promoter, so it's like the same kind of thing.
How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Very good. Had a good summer. Managed to get away a little bit, and actually I was on a stag do last weekend.
Was you? Still feeling a bit rough?
Yeah.
You over that?
I had a great time.
Yeah?
Great
Where'd you
time.
go?
Mykonos, which was a little bit out
Nice.
there, but
Bit naughty.
actually beautiful place. Nightlife was great. 14 of us and double heavy, 4
Very good.
nights, which was probably a bit too long.
How
It's
many
one
nights?
of those 4 nights.
I think it's a 14 nights.
No, but it's one of them, when you tell the missus that it's 2 nights.
Right,
and then
yeah, missed the flight.
About 2 weeks out, you drop in that you've just found out it's 3. And then the week before you get your mate to phone saying, not going to believe this, I've just seen the tickets, and it's actually 4. And then she goes mad. And but it was quite nice, actually. One of the few times I've actually switched off from boxing and work and sort of...
Because you must have a fucking busy... For anyone who is in the position that me and Tom are in, explain a little bit about what you do.
So Matchroom Sport are sports promoters. So we deal across loads of different sports. Boxing, snooker, darts. We own the governing bodies for those 2 sports. Golf, fishing, ten-pin bowling, basketball, netball,
bowling?
gymnastics.
Is that taken... Is that
Do you know what? It's big. What we tend to do is go into niche sports and control them.
Right.
Rather than go into like a football or a tennis and deal with all the corporate bullshit and different agencies and promotional companies. We go in like we did with darts. I mean, darts, I don't know if you've ever been, but looking, like, it is an unbelievable night out. And we've taken it from the Circus Tavern in Purfleet, which is great if you want to go to the Daily Sport lap dancing bit that's above it, to Alexandra Palace for the World Championships, to Premier League darts, selling 10,000 tickets every Thursday. So we get involved with sports we like and actually that we can relate to, because we're privately owned. It's my old man's company and my company, and he's from Dagenham and he likes darts. Do you know what I mean? And he likes snooker and he likes boxing. Yeah. So it's like anything. If you're selling something you believe in and you understand, it's a lot easier to sell.
Because you have the passion for it.
Which one of you likes bowling?
I'm not sure about that one. Maybe my nan or something like that. Yeah. But it's 10-pin bowling, and that was just. He comes up with these little, like, basically. We've got an event called the Weber Cup, which is like the Ryder Cup, which is like US against Europe. And if you're into 10-pin bowling, it's like.
Does it get heated?
Coup de grace? Not really. No. I mean, there's a few high fives thrown in, but generally it is. In every sport that we do, for example, in fishing. Right now, I can't stand fishing. My dad loves fishing. He thinks it's the greatest thing in the world.
Right.
He'll sit there for 8 hours and not catch one fish, and come back and tell you it was just such a great day. It's like, how can it be? You sat there for 8 hours. You didn't even have your phone. But he loves fishing. So he created this event. It's about probably nearly 20 years ago now, called Fishermania, right? Obviously spun off WrestleMania, right, which was really inventive at the time. And basically ran all these qualifiers around the country, and everyone who won the qualifiers got to the grand final. And whoever caught the most weight in fish over like 8 hours of fishing won 25 grand and won Fishermania, right? So I'm thinking, this will never sell. Anyway, Sky have aired it for like, fishing's the biggest participation sport in the country. Participation sport. Mad. Like, how many people go fishing? But in fishing, if you win Fishermania, you are God.
Really?
You know what I mean? A God, like total God. And I mean, they're not fishermen. They're not the coolest guys.
No,
but for them, like Fishermania, the trophy, 25 grand's a lot of money for a fisherman. It's a lot of maggots, isn't it? So, but just little events like that. And obviously, I run all the boxing, which is like a complete ball ache.
Yeah.
We've got probably 60 fighters. We do 24 shows a year.
But that's the big one, isn't it?
It is,
that's
yeah.
Not, that's not Fishermania.
Darts is huge. Snooker's huge, but boxing at the moment is really taking off. But you're dealing with 60 fighters, and literally it's like everyone's on you all the time. So you rarely get a chance to actually switch off. And when I went on this stag do, I was actually sitting around a pool a few times, just sort of having a laugh with my mates, which is something I don't really get a chance to do that, man. Thinking, fucking hell, this is great. Yeah. There's another world, actually. And sometimes you can get a little bit engrossed in your work, can't you? Yeah. And actually realise, fucking hell, you don't want to get to a stage where you're 60 and think,
I've not had any
No, I haven't
real
really-
fun.
fucking-
No.
What have I done for
So,
life?
so is essentially in layman's terms, your job is you know all these boxers and you put on the fights. You
we put on
decide
the
who.
fights, we put on the shows. We do 24 shows a year for Sky Sports. They're our exclusive provider. So we'll be in, like this weekend we're in Liverpool. Next weekend we've got a show in LA. The weekend after we're back in Liverpool. Then it's Manchester, London,
Fucking-
Belfast, Cardiff, Monaco. So it's like 8 weeks on the road every weekend, every Saturday night, and it's it's pretty intense. And obviously in boxing, it's not like working in a investment bank. You've got people trying to fuck you all the time.
Yeah.
So people trying to pull fights on you, or poor guy out of the fight, or someone gets injured, or someone misses the weight, and then all of a sudden you're left, there's no fight, and you've got to replace it, and then someone's holding you to ransom because he knows you're fucked, so you've got to pay. It's like
What are these other promoters trying to fuck you up?
generally, yeah,
Yeah.
generally, but it's like a chess match.
Yeah.
So there's two worlds. There's in the ring, and then there's out the ring. And out the ring, it's a fascinating business. Like once you're in, it's very hard to walk away from, because we've been doing it. My dad's been promoting boxing for 30 years. I've been around boxing for 30 years, promoting for 6 years. And it's like, it's very hard to say, I'm going to leave boxing now, I'm going to do something else.
Yeah.
Because you always want to get one up on everybody else. And it's fun. It is fun, but it's intense.
That's mad, because with I'm a big football fan myself, and with stuff like that, the fixtures just come out. You imagine it's just people sit in a room, the FA sit in a room, they go West Ham, Tottenham this day, and stuff like that. Whereas you just said it's like a massive game. You essentially have the ability just to make an up and coming boxer famous, don't you?
Yeah, they've got to have. There's so many, like when you sit down with a fighter, every fighter's got a story, and they're unique people. I mean, this sport it's not like a logical sport, is it? You're going into an arena, into a square ring to have a fight with someone else in front of a load of drunk men and women, screaming and shouting, and you're basically trying to damage the other guy. I mean, that's the truth of it. Is a sport.
Yeah.
But these people are unique. They're not normal individuals, and they've all got stories, and most of them have come from nothing. You can't really be a great fighter if you haven't, because you've got to be a bit crazy, and you've got to have that edge about you. So, we have the ability to make people stars, but they've got to be good, and they've got to be different. I suppose it's just like what you do. You can't just rock up and say, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. Or you can.
Yeah.
But in terms of how successful it is, it depends on a lot of things.
Yeah.
How much nous you've got, your personality, how sharp you are, all kinds of different things. And that's the same with being a boxer. You can't just come in and say, I'll come from a council house and, I was expelled from school and now boxing saved my life, and,
Because that's pretty
I'm
much
good.
everyone.
It is everybody's
anyway,
story, but some people are engaging. Anthony Joshua, for example, is the full package. But other people outside of Joshua, but it's really the promoter's job to, get these rough diamonds and clean them and buff them and tell the story and deliver their image and their story, and obviously having a big broadcaster behind you helps as well. So we've got to try and make it as big as possible. We've got to try and make as many people want to come and buy a ticket to watch them, tune in on TV, and obviously sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you've got to be good. I mean, you can't just do it with an average guy who's sort of
That's
limited.
it.
If a fighter comes and he's an unbelievable fighter, but he's just
That's exactly what I was going to say.
boring as fuck.
Yeah.
You just do the angle of he's cold and he's
You've always got, everyone's got to have an image. So like, I don't know if you remember, snooker in the sort of 80s was massive because it was basically full of characters and personalities. But I could give you a name of a snooker player and you'd come up with words to describe that player. It might be like, I don't know, Alex Higgins, I don't know if you remember him, the Irishman, right? Complete lunatic, Hurricane Higgins.
My uncle's mad on him.
Yeah, but he would have a game, he would then go and snort about 10 lines of cocaine, drink like 10 pints and go and have a fight in the press tent, right?
That's what made him, though, I guess.
But Bill Werbenick, big fat guy, used to drink like 13 pints. He was so drunk when he was playing. Kirk Stevens would wear like a white tuxedo and he was like, had this mullet. You know
They're
what I mean?
almost like computer characters,
They are,
aren't they?
but
Like
in every sport you need personalities.
Yeah.
And you can be the boring one, like Steve Davis, for example. Good example. My godfather, right? So, but he was so boring that my dad called him Interesting, right? So his nickname was Steve Interesting Davis. And as it worked out, he was hilarious. His sense of humour is so dry. I mean, he's really funny. And the funny thing is about him now is he is a big underground techno DJ, right? He's called.
Did you know that?
Yeah,
He's called DJ Thundermuscle,
Oh,
right?
fuck's
He
sake.
opened at Glastonbury in like one of the small, like one of the alternative tents, and he does like these club nights, and he's like wears like chinos and like, I mean he's a geek and he knows that, but he's fucking all of a sudden, I don't think people even know he's the guy. Yeah. He is Thundermuscle because even these DJs. Yeah. I find the DJ thing the most fascinating thing going. That you go to the O2 or something like that, and there's this little bloke behind the decks going. Like that, and there's like 20,000 people going nuts.
That might be your next thing.
Fucking hell, I think these boys have had it off. That's what I want to come back as a DJ. You haven't really
How did you know about this?
I saw him on a lineup recently, and someone was like, "That's the real Steve Davis." And I was like,
I know, but he's mad. He's always been in like jazz and all that sort of stuff, and then he got involved in a bit of techno, and yeah, he's
so ironically now that is quite interesting.
Yeah, it is. But so he was like the boring one. So like you said. I never ask a fighter to be something they're not. There's nothing worse than trying to be something that you're not, because it's quite uncomfortable and can look quite cringy. We were talking pre-show about these press conferences and stuff like that.
We'll get there.
Yeah, but if you go if you like Conor McGregor's a good example. He is like a great showman and promoter, but although he's actually taking it to the max. He's being himself. He is like a rugged Irishman who's got great banter and just. So if you're trying to be something you're not, it can be quite painful to watch. Yeah. So we don't do that. We sort of say, look, if you are boring and you've got no story, then you're just like, so to the point. You're like Rain Man. So we'll call you Rain Man. Yeah. Because that's what you are.
Yeah.
But why'd you call him Rain Man? Yeah. Because he is just monotonous. He's just boxing. He has no personality. He has no life.
And he can count cards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And when he's bashed someone up in Vegas, you take him to the casino and nick all the money. So, but that's really what we do. I always sit down with a kid and say, you're different. You've got this. We'll put you in front of a camera. You're great. Tell your life story. Again, it's a sport where these people are coming from a very dark background. So some of them can't speak in front of the camera to start with. It's very like others have just got a natural, something about them. But it takes time, and it doesn't mean if you haven't got a personality, it doesn't mean that you're not going to go and win world titles. But it generally means you won't be a big sort of pay-per-view star
because you don't sell
because you've got to have the complete package.
A good example of that is wrestling in UFC is Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
huge star, no personality.
Yeah.
So
really?
he never does the talking. He gets his manager.
Is that what in wrestling?
He does UFC and wrestling.
Wrestling's like the weirdest thing going.
Do you rate wrestling? Because I personally can't.
I rate wrestling from a business model.
Right,
because
I can't
how can you have a sport? I mean, is it like where the result is already predetermined?
Yeah.
So like you get these guys on social media going, "Oh, I can't wait till WrestleMania, whatever it is, 790, the big fight of the night, so and so against so and so." Like I reckon he's going to win. It's like there's no point having a view on it. Yeah. It's already decided. You can't say he's like, and they're going like he's much better on the takedowns.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. They could say to him, "You're going to be shit on the takedowns tonight because we've already planned the other guy to win."
But then on the flip side, like things like Breaking Bad, you're predicting the next episode. It's much more of a soap opera, isn't it? I'm not going to say it is.
No, but it is. No, but it is, and that's actually why darts is a bit like that. Although the result's not predetermined, you create these characters, and actually now you have the walk on in darts, and you've got like a guy like I don't know Phil Taylor, who was a joiner or something like that in Stoke-on-Trent, making a couple of £100 a week. Now he's making like £5 million a year, and he's walking out and he's like Phil the Power Taylor, and like with a big gut out here, and like
I was so surprised when I first went to the darts. I went in December, and they have all these like beautiful women around them, like walking out. Everyone's like,
and also they're all dressing up. The crowd are all dressed up in fancy dress.
Yeah, big foam hats.
I know, it's mental. But what it is, I think what happened is the general public look at these guys like Phil Taylor and go, "Do you know what? Like,
that's my dad.
He's just come out of a factory."
Yeah, that's my uncle.
But you can see it on their faces. Like, if it was a footballer or something like that, they'd be thinking, "Fucking hell, someone's just thrown a pint at me."
Yeah.
Like, right, that's it. I'm not playing.
Yeah.
These guys are like, try and drink it off the floor. But they're looking at the fans are looking at them, going, "You know what? You're not on 400 grand a week and sulk, and like you're just." You can see in their face, they can't believe it's happening to them.
Yeah.
And I think the fans bounce off that because it's a working man's sport, darts. And I think these guys they are working men. They're out of pubs and, joiners and engineering branches and it's amazing what some of them have gone on to achieve.
Yeah, you're from, if you don't mind me saying, from very different backgrounds because obviously you come from a fairly well-off family. Is that harder for you to then connect with these boxers on a personal level, or is it all business?
I think like my dad's from a council house in Dagenham, so
Okay.
he's really cracked it.
Yeah.
Right. But I think he was always worried about me being a spoiled kid, you know, being that horrible kid from sort of private school that you just want to punch, you know, and like, I could imagine him almost being, I can't believe that's my son. Like, if it turned out that way, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was very, you know, he obviously didn't drag me up, but I was with him all the time. We was going to all the shows. I'd be all the small hall shows in the gyms from 8 or 9 years old, and he's always sort of injected into me the working class mentality. You know, I can't say I'm working class because I grew up in a very nice house in Brentwood, and I was lucky. But I can say I got a working class mentality because I don't think anyone works harder in the industry. And that's sort of growing up. I was always like Barry Hearn's son. Do you know what I mean? And we always joke about it now.
Did that piss you off?
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose it makes you work hard. You want to achieve something on your own. So, but going into the business is always hard. Like, I worked for 8 years outside of Matchroom. So I worked for a sports management company. I worked on a PGA tour, representing golfers like nothing. And I'd literally go into interviews, like with these companies, and I'd sit down and they'd go, Eddie Hearn, in relation to Barry. I'm like, yeah, that's my dad. They're like, what are you doing here? Do you know what I mean? Like, your Matchroom is 10 times the size of this company. I said, well, I didn't want to go and work for him. So, but we're so competitive, me and him, that we joke. Like, he calls me Silver Spoon.
Right.
Yeah. And he takes piss out of me all the time.
Yeah.
Look at you, you flash little silver spoon, you know. And now I'm smashing the boxing.
Yeah.
Bigger than anything he ever did in boxing.
And is that kind of in your head? Is that kind of your goal? You want to just outdo him a little bit?
I want to outdo him. I want to outdo the competition. And like, although it sounds a bit sad, our life is really Matchroom, our jobs. Like, we live it, we love it. I'm very lucky to do what we do. But, you know, I work hard, not really like to try and be the best and to overcome the competition, but just like it's in me, you know, and that's probably something I'm most proud of because I could have been an horrible, like tough,
could have been Callum Best kind of vibe.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't want to say that, but you know, I think that it's sometimes hard. And someone who went to my school, I've got a huge amount of respect for, is Frank Lampard, and he was in the year above me, and he had the same sort of thing when he was coming through. His dad was Frank Lampard Senior.
Yeah.
He played for West Ham. He got a contract at West Ham, and it was like, he was a bit overweight at the time as well, and it was like, it's a joke. You know, he's got a contract at West Ham for his dad, and he works so hard at his game.
When he was at West Ham fans used to call him Fat Lampard.
Yeah. And big fat Frankie Lampard.
Yeah.
And we did that at school as well.
Yeah.
But like I actually, I haven't spoke to him for, I don't know, probably 15 years. He actually messaged me the other day on Instagram, we're going to meet up. But I've been watching him, and I couldn't believe that this is the kid. Because at school he was good, but he always used to stay behind with his dad. And I always used to watch him over the fields thinking, poor bastard. Like, his dad's drilling him, doing all these cones and fucking sprints and stuff like that. And actually what he went on to achieve, was like one of the best English players ever, really. And one of the, like, Chelsea legend. So he came out, and I always, like, my dad's had a lot of people coming up to him lately going, you're Eddie Hearn's dad, right? And it's so funny, because he's like, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. But
Bronze spoon.
yeah, exactly. No, I always say, what I say to my dad is, he calls me Silver Spoon. I said, it was silver, but I turned it gold.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
nice.
So it's like, but we joke all the time. We've had various punch ups. I mean, when he always said to me,
Oh, I mean, I've shanked him a few times.
there's a story in the paper actually, because when I was about 14, 15, I was obnoxious. I mean, you imagine, like, my dad's a boxing promoter. I'm going to this private school, which is like easy for me to be a tough guy.
Can I just
because
ask?
they're all like.
Can I just quickly, sorry to interrupt, but if your dad wanted to, like, bring you up with, like, the working class mentality, why did he send you to a private school?
I don't know really. I just think they wanted me to have a good education.
Yeah.
So I think that was
that
like,
above all,
yeah.
yeah.
It wasn't like sling him in that shit school because it will toughen him up. I
Yeah,
think that.
yeah.
And I love sport, and the
Yeah.
sport was good there. But
Fair.
he always said, when you're 18, I'm going to take you down the gym, and we're going to have a fight, and we're going to have a proper. I'm going to bash you up, but it will really teach you. That wasn't. You know, from an East End family, that wasn't unusual. I mean, it was a bit weird, like people can't. But it wasn't like you know, your dad giving you a slap was kind of like.
That's
You know,
expected.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he said, like, we're going to do it in the ring. We're going to go in there, and we're going to, you know, you're going to get a beating, and it will man you up, and we'll see what you're made of. So I was like, no problem. This is at 13. You know, I got so tall and so big that at 15, he was like, we're probably going to bring this forward. We're going to do it when you're 16. So I said, no problem. So we went down to the gym in Romford, and I'll never forget, we had these little gloves on, no head guards. And he's like, right, son, you ready? I'm thinking, yeah. And I boxed a bit for Billericay as well, like boys club, I had a couple of amateur fights. And the bell rang, and he just steamed out. And I just remember putting my guard up, looking at him, and it was like, I'm thinking, fucking hell, this is my dad. And he was literally trying to take, he was wanting to give me a beating. So I come back and I absolutely levered him. I put him down with body shots. He never got up. But he told the story the next day in the paper, and it was like page 4 of the Mirror, something like Hearn's dad, Hearn's son, boxing boss's son beats up dad or something like that. But it was, you know, for about 3 minutes it was a right tear up. But that got his respect. Yeah. You know, he was quite secretly pleased with that. Yeah. And he tells the story. Like if that was me, I'd never tell the story. Yeah. It's quite embarrassing.
But
really.
he's sort of proud of yours. Yeah.
I took my son down the gym once, 16 he was. We was going to wait till he was 18, but I thought, and you know what? I fucking stuck it on him and I sort of bashed him up. You know what he done? He beat me up. And it's like because you're not that kid that I was worried you might be. Yeah. You know. And went to Billericay Boxing Club, boxed there, and like my first ever fight was in Dagenham, actually, ironically, it was where he's from. And obviously I'm a very different background to these guys, but I was in boxing for a long time before that. And they introduced me and they said, and in the red corner, from Billericay, Eddie Hills. And I was like, turned around, I thought, oh, fucking hell, I'm the red corner, they got my name wrong. So anyway, went out, I won that fight. And then the next fight, a couple of weeks later, same thing, and in the blue corner, from Billericay, Eddie Hills. I'm like, are they taking the piss here or what? And it was only after that my dad told me that he told them not to call me Eddie Hearn. He didn't want, because he said they would have tried to beat the fuck out of you. Yeah. You know, because they would have said the same thing I thought. Yeah. This little posh kid, you know, and you've got to give him a beating. Yeah. So
that's cool. Like I've got a similar story, not as cool. I remember once there was a little park at the top of my hill, and some kid gave me a slap, and I went home and I was like all sulking, probably crying. I was 21. And I told my dad. And I was expecting him to go have a word with him. He went, all right, come in the car, we'll go have a word. And he pulled up outside the park and he went, you're going to go have a fucking word. You go back over. Yeah. So I went back over there. I was shitting myself, right? And unlike you, beat him up, I just went, I can't remember exactly, but it was like, we'll just forget about all that. Yeah, just walk back.
And then you got back in the car and say, what would you say, son? I told him. You do that again, you're done. Right?
No, my dad knew. He went, you're a little bitch. Yeah, he went, you're probably going to YouTube or something.
Get in the back.
Yeah. Does he understand what you're doing now?
He's a bit confused, but he's a bit confused. But I think he's loving it. He's loving it. My dad had a very similar sort of like upbringing to your dad in the terms of, not in terms of like career wise, but in terms of like he's a London boy and stuff like that. And all my family are massively into boxing. And I'm kind of like the one that necessarily wasn't. But why do you think, like, because I remember you said a question just before we come in, people like me and Tom, who aren't massively into boxing by any means, we will still buy the pay-per-views and we will watch them fight. Why do you think that is?
People have a fascination with big events. So obviously on the pay-per-view side, you've got like, we do 24 shows a year, which are Saturday night fight night on Sky. If you've got Sky, you can watch it. No, you don't have to pay for it. But every now and again, it's normally like 3 or 4 times a year, we'll do a pay-per-view night of boxing. And the way that we've angled it and the way that we've sold it is, it's a huge night of boxing with a big build-up, and it's like, it's just a night where you get your mates round and you get the beers in and you just watch it on TV from 6 or 7 o'clock till midnight. We're going to watch the fights. It's become quite cool to do, and people are fascinated in this world by transactions. So like, they always want to be buying something. And we got the only problem with pay-per-view boxing is, if it's not pay-per-view, people's perception now is, oh, it must be shit. It's not a big night of boxing. No, it is, and it's free. Yeah. It's on Sky. You haven't even got to pay for it. But it's not pay-per-view, is it?
Yeah. No. They think, like, why would you give it to me for free?
They moan. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? When you got to pay for it, but actually, secretly, they want to pay for it. Yeah. And you know, when you used to buy pay-per-view boxing, you used to have to phone up Sky, give them your viewing card number, and then hope that they'd sort of unencrypt it and it would kick in your TV. Now it's a red button. So it's like, red button, do you want to buy the night of boxing for $19.95 or whatever? Bosh, yes please, on your bill. Lovely. People are obsessed with transaction, and that's how the world of content is going in TV as well. So I mean, you see this, but I think in time you'll be paying for shows and paying for individual football matches because people like You know, how much is this game? 79p. Yeah. Wallop. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, and how many people sit online on Amazon and like my missus is like, things turn up at the house. Like, it's just delivery Amazon. I'm like, what can you be buying now? And it's like, you open it and it might be like, I don't know, 80 biros or something like that. It's like, what? Why have you bought that? Well, we needed some pens. I went, no, you went on there and you just saw it come down on the screen and thought, oh, I need some pens. But we don't really, do we?
In 5 years' time, who knows, you might have to pay for my content, and then I'll be truly fucked.
Yeah.
Are you quite flash with the cash then?
No, I mean, you can't really, like, in a sport like boxing, you've got to be engaging with the fans. So you've almost got to be one of them. And I do see myself as one of them because, like, although sometimes people look at me and think, oh, fuck it, I'm one of the lads. Like, if you see, like, on the stag, like, I'm the same as everybody else. But just wear a suit a lot of the time and walk fighters into the ring and do press conferences and stuff like that. But so flashing the cash, I'm not a massive spender. I like nice things, obviously, but you can't be that guy who's like, sort of, you know, doesn't associate with the fans. That's why all my social media stuff is me. I'm the only promoter in world boxing, probably other than Dana White, and that shows how, you know, what he's achieved as well, who actually is the guy on Twitter replying to people.
Yeah.
Like, I know other promoters, they've never been on social. They've got accounts, and they're like, fans are speaking to them, and they're replying. They're like, thanks. Well, one of them, Frank Warren. Thanks, Frank. I'm like, it's not Frank. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just some kid in the office.
Yeah.
But I'm literally replying. I mean, I spend far too much time on social media.
I was actually surprised because sometimes to get guests on here, sometimes it will be like a DM and stuff like that. But with you, I thought there would be like an agent or someone I have to contact, and it was literally a Twitter DM.
But I think that's why one of the reasons for our success is we were the first boxing promoter to embrace social media. Yeah. Really. Like, my dad says, you're lucky in a way because when we used to promote boxing, we'd literally like drive down to the tube station, run out, and just put a load of posters up on a random wall. Do you know what I mean? And that was like, that's really what you did. Now, he says, you've got all these people, I mean, you've grown your followers, where you can just, you know, if I want to hit someone with a fight poster, I can do it in a second. And he used to advertise in like, I mean, magazines like Boxing News used to cost you like 500 quid to have a page in Boxing News with a readership of about 10,000. You know, I think the downside of social media is you see the responses and people's opinions a lot more. So he says, like, we'd used to finish a show and just go, that was a great show, wasn't it? Do you want to go and get a bagel? Or something like that. Now, you finish the show and it's like, that was shit. Yeah. You're a con man. Yeah. Fucking never spending that again. You're like, oh. But that's just the world. You've got to take the rough with the smooth with social media. And I know so many people like, oh, I'm coming off social media, I can't handle it. I can't handle the criticism. But these people are just sitting there. Sometimes they don't even think it. They're just hoping for a response. And sometimes, some nights I'll sit there when my missus and kids are asleep and just go back to people and just abuse them back. Like, literally, like, I'll go on. Like, I've got a quite standard line where if someone's like a bit on the ugly side, like, you look at their profile and they're like, I'll go, thanks mate, appreciate your comments. By the way, you were awesome in the Goonies. Like, or something like that, right? And people come back and go, fucking hell, go on Hearn, or something like that. And it's just
go on Silver Spoon.
Oh yeah, but I was that kid at school who was probably like trolling kids in the playground. Do you know what I mean? So it's just what it is.
What do you feel makes a good promoter? It's been relatable, like you said, but what other elements of your personality do you think? Have you inherited anything from your dad in terms of
hype is you got to be a great salesman, you know, and I've seemed to always been able to do that. I was selling double glazing when I was 15. After school, I used to go to Weathersill Windows in Romford. That's where I worked, and they'd give you a phone book like that, and the sort of kids from like 16 to 20 would go into the phone room where there'd be about 40 people, and the job would be to phone up someone out the phone book and try and get one of the salesmen to go in and have a meeting with someone about new double glazing. And there was 10 different sort of rejection lines that if someone rejected you with I've just had my double glazing done. Oh really, what sort of double glazing was it? Imagine the person on the phone thinking, fuck off, man. I mean, this was before the days of when you used to get, like now you get like 5 phone calls a day, don't you? Yeah. Hello, you've been involved in an accident? Yeah. But back then it was like the only person that would phone you that wasn't your family was a double glazing guy. Was you. And that was me.
Literally just
you. Yeah, I know. So I'd go through it and literally you'd have responses. So, you know, we're in the area, we just want to come round and, give you a free quotation without obligation to buy. Look, it's not a good time at the moment. Oh, really? What? Why not? Oh, well, actually, a family member's passed away. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Was he cold? Because
I know, but it was literally like that. It was like, I'm so sorry to hear that, but would you like me to give you a couple of days and we'll give you a call back? And then you build a relationship with that person. So before you know it, you've got their name.
Yeah.
And then you know when they last had a double glazing done. And now you're making notes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then when you phone back in 2 weeks and go, I hope it hasn't been too tough a time for you, with everything that's happened. But those aluminium windows that you've got. I've been speaking to our guy, and they rust really quickly. Have you thought about wood or UV PVC? And they're like, no. Oh, listen, he's there tomorrow. He'll pop round. No. I mean, what do you do in the day? Are you in from 2 o'clock? Oh yeah, I'm always in at 2. That's perfect then. Okay, so he'll be round at 2. And then what you do is you take your lead sheet out in the other office, right? And I was on £3 an hour. But if you got a lead, your money for that day went up to an extra £1 an hour, and they'd give you a £5, right? So you'd run out and you go, right, I got one, and it's like Mrs. Whatever, and they'd say, right, you're now on £4 an hour, and there's another £5. But most of the time, I would get it over the line, but they had no interest. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then the salespeople would come out, and they'd be like, and then you got an extra bonus if they bought, like even you did.
Yeah.
But they'd come back and they'd go, like, that woman just said, she doesn't even want to see us, but she just sort of felt sorry for you.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry, I got a £5, an extra £1, so I don't care. On to the next one.
Yeah.
So selling is important. Hype is so important because you have to create excitement, and you actually have to create an event that people want to watch, and you have to provide good content, good fights. You have to match well. But with us, what we do is it's kind of like a night out as well. We get a lot of criticism from the hardcore boxing fan that go, "Oh, your shows, all they are is a load of drunk people, singing and dancing." I'm like, it's called a night out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, well, they don't even want to watch the boxing. Well, they do, but they also want to get drunk.
Yeah.
And now, it's quite funny, what was also happening at events is, darts is a great example. There's probably now about 25% of the audience, live audience, is female. Because I think what these women have realised is, hang on a minute, there's 3,000 drunk men in the audience. And actually, the audience now, they're like people like us. They're not like, the geezers in the Goonies, like those sort of people. They're just normal people. And women are like, hold on, there's music, they're singing, they're dancing. I know it's darts, but not a lot of people are watching it anyway.
Yeah.
Everyone's just getting hammered, singing, dancing, having a great time, dressing up in fancy dress.
Yeah.
And now the women, and the same with boxing. Now, when people are going to the boxing, they're dressing up.
Yeah.
Women are coming.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, now it's become cool, it's become trendy again. And it's developing those kind of events where it is a night out that you can leave at the end of it and go, that's a great night. Wake up the next morning and go, fucking hell.
Yeah.
God, what a mental night, the boxing. Rather than just turn up. I saw it once. I was in Vegas. On the Friday night, I went to a boxing match. And I remember sitting next to this guy who was about this wide. And he had one of these Diet Coke, or probably Coke, big, they have the 6-pint things in America, right? Yeah. And on the other thing, he had they had a cup holder in the seat, which I thought, a boxing match. And he had a hot dog, I think they've got 4-foot ones over there. And he was sitting there, he's like, and I looked at him, I thought, if you're the future of the boxing audience, we are fucked.
Yeah.
And the next night, I went to a UFC night, right? And I was like, this is what I want.
Right.
This is the audience that I want. Young people. They weren't drinking 4-pint beers. They were drinking double vodka Red Bulls, and the women were drinking champagne. And it was $40 a bottle, but they didn't give a fuck because they were at the UFC, and all the phones were out, social media. This other guy didn't even have a phone, or if he did, it didn't have any web access or anything. Yeah, exactly. But these other people were posting stuff, and I was just looking at this audience thinking, this is the future. It has to be a night out, has to be desirable. When you go on sale, you got to say, I've got to get a ticket. I have to get a ticket for that.
Are you moving into UFC then?
I don't have a passion for it like I do with boxing. I go back to when you said it.
Bowling.
Yeah, I do, but I don't personally sell temping bowling. But I think when I'm selling a fight and it's a great fight, I can really sell it, because I believe in it. UFC, I am becoming more familiar with it, and I do from a brand perspective. They sold 4.2 billion. Yeah. UFC. They're talking about it's now worth 7 billion. Yeah. I mean, from a business, it's phenomenal, and I'm starting to become more engrossed with it through Conor McGregor. Yeah. To be honest with you, but that's how you go. That's how you're drawn into a sport generally by someone. It's like look at Tiger Woods when he was playing golf.
That's it.
All of a sudden, across America, loads of young kids in Nike hats stand on a range hitting balls for 4 hours a day. You know, even like Wimbledon. What happens when Wimbledon's on? And like Tim Henman, all of a sudden,
everyone goes
you get
mad.
your racket, don't you? Do you want to go and play a bit of tennis? And you're like, have one game, you go, oh shit, and then you never do it again. But it just takes something to trigger you into a sport. And with UFC, that's something is really Conor McGregor. I mean, he's a huge star.
Yeah, the crossover that we've just seen with McGregor and Mayweather, were you keen on that? Did you think it was a bit... obviously, from a financial...
From a purist point of view, boxing, I thought it was like hard to watch.
Right.
But from a business perspective, it broke all numbers. You had 2 markets. There isn't a massive crossover between boxing fans and UFC fans, believe it or not.
Right.
They're really 2 different people. I'm not saying they don't watch they do, but not like you think they would. You know, it's a combat sport. Yet, you know, if you're a UFC fan, you're not necessarily a boxing fan. But what that fight did was, I think that made UFC fans go, do you know what? Like, I might start watching a bit of boxing because that was a huge event. And boxing fans say, do you know what? I'm trying that UFC because that Conor McGregor's all right. So, for the sports, I think it was okay. As a fight, I thought it was pretty shit. Right. Like, it was okay. They got away with it, but it wasn't like, you know.
A lot of people were saying that the outcome was predetermined.
It wasn't predetermined, but I do think Floyd Mayweather held him up.
Really?
I think he could have finished it earlier.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't think that was a case of, like he said to Conor before, like, I'm going to hold you up. I think after a while he just thought, like, I can take my time with this guy. Like, he's just going to gas out and can win this easy. Not like, oh, I'm trying to give everyone value for money. But he wasn't the Floyd Mayweather that, you know, beat like Canelo or...
Is that because of his age though, or is that...
No, because it was the person in front of him. He didn't have to be.
Oh,
you
right.
know, he couldn't... He like that fight in terms of a betting coup, like Mayweather was 1-4 or like 4-6 for the stoppage. It was like buying money because what it was just emotional gambling from mainly the Irish who were like, Conor McGregor's 4-1. Oh, I'll have some of that.
Yeah.
And it's just, and that's why Paddy Power come in, paid out early on the betting, had Paddy Power on Floyd Schultz, you know. But everybody was watching. You know, it broke pay-per-view records in the UK. It nearly broke pay-per-view records in America. Massive, I mean, just generated so much money. And you think Floyd Mayweather's had all those tough fights in his life.
Never
and it
lost.
comes down and to that, where he must be thinking to himself, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
You know, $300 million and I'm really not even breaking sweat.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Because with that one, because like the press conferences with that, it was very hard to believe that it was all hype, obviously, and I didn't think when I watched it there was much beef there between them. Do you think, like, to really sell a fight, do you have to believe, do you want people to be talking, or do you have to believe there's a feud there?
Again, people probably don't believe this, but I've never said to a fighter, like, listen, right, I really need you to ramp it up at the press conference here, because they're fighting in a couple of days' time. Like, it's hard enough as it is. When there is beef between 2 fighters, it's gold dust, if it's good. I don't know if you remember the fight we did last year, which was Chisora against White when he threw the table at Dillian White. I mean, like, these guys are lunatics. When it goes off, and they're big guys. Like, it's like a whirlwind in the room. And I'm sort of sitting at the press conference, you know, and I was goading him, to be fair. I was like, you know, so we'd nearly finished the presser, and I was like, we haven't quite got enough here. It hasn't gone, because I thought it was going to go lively. So I was like, just ask one more question. Derek, Dillian said that he banged your mum like no. He sort of said, I said, Dillian said that,
you were great
that
he's
going to knock your spark out or something, like, you know, and your career's finished off. And he said something, and then Dillian White said something when I said it, and Chisora just went, do you know, like, I'll tell you something now, I'm fucking started banging the table, and I've looked at the security because I had 2 security behind him. I went, as if to say, get ready to grab him, because I don't want him coming anywhere near me. Right? Anyway, stood up, and with that, he's got the table like that, and quite a few people sometimes just flip the table over, because it's got like bottles of water on, it looks quite good. And he's gone like that, and I thought, result, he's going to flip the table.
Yeah.
And then he's gone like that, underneath it, and next to it, I mean, these tables, like, I wouldn't be able to pick one up, or certainly not. And he's picked it up above his head, and there's like pictures of it where all of us going, like that, and he's just luzzed it at Dillian White, right? And they're like this big, and it's sort of on my head, and I've sort of palmed it backwards, and Dillian White's just sitting there like that, and we're like, me and Adam Smith from Sky, who's like I think he might have gone to Eton or something like that. He's like, oh my God, call the police. And then all of a sudden he stands up, and then Chisora's just lost the rag. Like, he's trying to get to Dillian Whyte. All my security are holding him back. And I'm like, I've gone from, this is great, this is going to drive some pay-per-view buys, to this is borderline assault. Like, this is not good. Like, there's a line. Do you know what I mean? Like I said to you earlier, we have to be like, preserve the credibility of the sport and follow the Queensberry rules, code of conduct, all that stuff. But also understand it's a commercial business. When you start throwing tables at people's heads. So he's now, I've said to Dillian Whyte, just go downstairs. So Chisora now is like, I'm looking in his eyes, and I'm trying not to look in his eyes because I'm sort of over the other side of the room. And he's like, he's gone. He's like, like this. So then I've gone up to him, I've gone, Derek, just calm down, mate. He's gone, do you think he's funny? I've gone, no. There's a video clip. My voice went up like that. I was like, no, I don't. And then the security's in the middle, and he's like where you are, and there's security there. He's going, I will end this now. I will end this show now. And I'm looking at him thinking, please don't hit me. I thought, if he hits me, he's going to break my neck. I'm like, and then I sort of went, I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to go and check on Dillian Whyte. And then just thought, Jesus. But again, you're not dealing with normal... I mean, these guys, they're good guys. But when it's fight mode, and you've got to be careful at the press conferences, because when you bring someone head-to-head with someone, and they've been saying stuff about each other, especially now with social media, you know, you can say anything you want about someone's wife, and they do. And you get together, and some of the guys are making weight, not the heavyweights. They haven't eaten for like a week, and then all of a sudden, someone just touches your nose with a head. Boom. It's all got, you know. And again,
so how much of that would you say is like playing up to the cameras?
100% is real.
Really?
Honestly, right? I mean, you might get... Listen, Mayweather McGregor, that was like, they were trying to hype the fight. But when it goes off, that's all real. It's not like... So people saying to me, oh, it was so staged, that table. I'm like, are you mad? Like, it could have hit me and it poked me, like the legs could have taken me eye out. I was like, oh, rubbish, you knew he was going to do that. I'm like, no. I mean, sometimes they might sort of do that and push each other, and that's like standard. Might have thought I'd do it anyway. Yeah,
that's like the minimum you want, really.
Yeah, but most of the time, when it goes off, like, and you know, like I said, someone pushes someone nuts you. These guys, they're not like, oh, you know, I'll take a step back and we'll have a chat about it. It's like, if you step to me, it's going off. I don't care if it goes off now.
Yeah.
And it's just there's a real fine line, and you've got to get to that line, because that's when it sells.
Do you feel like you'll be able to tell if it is fake from that kind of thing? Like, do you think if you watch one and if they had staged it, would you be able to tell?
You're in the middle of it all,
never a fight. I mean, there's times before where some guys are trying to get an edge. You know, some guys are thinking, I'm going to stick it on. I've been involved in a lot of fights where people said, I'm going to stick it on him at the press conference. Not like, I'm going to stick it on him to sell the fight, because most of them don't give a fuck about selling the fight. But I'm going to stick it on him and let him know that he's in for it tomorrow night. So then you'll bring him together, and he might put the nut on and go, fuck, and then hoping that the other geezer will go, look at you now. But most of the time they come back. But that someone will take something positive away from it, and someone will take something. But there's nothing unusual about, I'm going to stamp my authority, because that's what that's the fighters. So I'm going to, like a lion, I'm going to come in and I'm going to take control of this stage, push you back, and let you know you're going to get bashed tomorrow.
Because I was asking because I think we should show Eddie the boxing match that is upcoming on YouTube and see what he thinks of the...
Yeah, do you know about...
Well, I know you mentioned it to me.
Yeah, so there's two YouTubers, Joe Weller and KSI, and essentially KSI is like the OG of YouTube. Okay. He's been doing it since way back in the day, big numbers. Joe Weller was a fan, first of all, and he started doing videos, how to be KSI. Right. One thing led to another. He's now got numbers that are rivaling that, and they're pals. Right. And recently... They're not pals. They're not pals. There's been a diss track thing going around where YouTubers make diss tracks about other people. Okay. And Joe Weller's essentially gives some shit to KSI. It's been going back and forth for a while. There's been some lines crossed in there in terms of like talking about...
Is it real beef?
That's the thing. Like, I think it started off as very fake, and then drugs started getting brought into it about how they went to Ibiza and done all these drugs. And on YouTube, they don't want their audience knowing that. And then it started going, I've fucked girls that you've been with and stuff like that. And it's now got to a stage where it's kind of like, I still think it's very, very fake, but the opinion is divided. And there's a press conference. I just want to show you a little clip from it.
I'll tell you if it's fake within about 1.2 seconds.
Lovely. Okay, this is what we want. For anyone listening on iTunes now, I'm just getting the clip up of KSI and Joe Weller to show Eddie. So this is KSI, the black
Is that
guy.
KSI?
Yeah, and white guy's Joe Weller.
All right.
Stable, bro.
Yeah, I'll say that.
Do you need drugs?
Drugs?
Do you need drugs to
No.
stay sane, bro?
What, antidepressants?
Yeah.
What, you taking a piss out of depression?
I'm not taking the piss.
Well, that's
I'm not
exactly
taking
what
the
you're doing.
I'm not taking the piss.
You taking a piss out of depression.
Piss.
That's exactly what you're
Piss.
doing.
Are you getting
How
depressed?
dare you,
Alright,
bro?
What you want to do then?
How dare
What
you
wanna
take a
do,
piss
bro?
out of mental
What you wanna
health,
do?
bro?
I ain't taking the piss,
Like, what
bro.
do you think you're doing?
I ain't doing
Have
it,
some
bro.
class about you, mate.
Says the man who pushed me, huh?
Says the man that put, bro.
Says the man that came on my stage and pushed me.
Yeah.
Where are you right
Pushed you-
now, bro?
pushed you all the
Where
way
are you
across
right
the
now?
stage.
Where are you right now, bro?
You almost fell off it,
Where
mate.
are you right now?
Just imagine this. That's
Where
all
are
I'm
you
gonna
right now?
say.
This is- what event? This is upload, isn't it?
Imagine 8,000 people seeing your head absolutely crush
Yeah,
onto
there's
the
no way,
canvas.
there's no
and
way.
Weller, lift his hands up.
Realistically, Creature was shit.
That's one of his songs. And he runs off.
Who was that geezer? Who
We
just
got
said that?
Joe Weller's mate, Elliot
Oh, right,
Crawford.
yeah,
Yeah, we're
yeah.
going to get him on the podcast.
Actually, yeah, I think that might be real.
Really?
yeah. The bit at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 100% real.
When he nudges
Yeah,
him.
no, but his reaction, like that was.
He did
like,
throw some people around, didn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah, I know. But actually, what I took from that was the KSI.
Yeah, yeah.
He was actually. He seems like, and the other guy is like. I think and this sort of stuff. It's a bit like Mayweather McGregor, where you might be in a situation like with those two, where they're like, got to really sell this, and then all of a sudden something happens, and you think,
And it goes a bit too
You're
far.
taking a bit of fucking liberty, or is he joking here? And then actually, it's like there's someone like what happened there. So they might have been half messing around, and then he barges into him, and he thinks, you fuck. Like, and actually, I would actually say that it seemed quite genuine.
Really?
I mean, yeah.
I think
The backdrop. Who's doing it?
it
The backdrop was quite impressive. I mean, their staging was quite good as well. You know, has he got a broadcast? Or they're going to obviously broadcast it on YouTube.
he's
yeah, you haven't got his number as well. Yeah.
I think in terms of how it started, it was very, very faked. And then when KSI brought up the "Do you need tablets to stay stable?" Joe Weller's come out and said he's got depression and stuff like this, and he's cried in videos. And I think when he's like, "Are you taking the piss out of depression?" I think there's an element in his face where it's like, "This is too far now. Like you've gone too far." But this is probably the.
So what? So tell me. Are they having? Is there a weight? Like they've got to weigh in at a certain weight?
Yeah,
like is it an event? It's obviously what venue is it?
It's going to be a ticket event. Like I'm not sure where the venue is.
It's about 8,000. He said. So
Yeah.
Really?
all of a sudden
Is that what he
they've got my
said?
attention.
Yeah, he said 8 in front of
8,000. He said in front of 8,000 people. So
It'd be head guards.
are they both from the UK? And he's American.
Yeah, no, they're both from the UK.
Are they?
Yeah, they're both from the UK, and I think
I'm really not interested in this one, like, genuinely, but I would probably watch it. Like, again, what we said before, it's like there's been loads of times where like celebrities come to me and said, "Listen, right, I've got like this geezer's fucking bit of a knob, and you know, I've told him I'll bash him up and we'll have a fight, and he's up for it." And I thought, oh, man, that'd be massive.
Yeah.
But it's just. What we're trying to sell is the sport of boxing.
Yeah.
The integrity.
Like, to go away. And even like recently, Nigel Benn, he's saying, I'm making a comeback against Steve Collins. He's 56. And it will sell because the man in the pub who remembers Nigel Benn or Chris Eubank, you know, will go, oh, quality.
Yeah.
Eubank Benn at 55, I'll watch that.
Yeah.
But we have to sort of distance ourselves a little bit and say, we're promoting the sport of boxing, not two old blokes having a tear up. And again, a lot of people will watch that because you have to think, what's their following? That guy. I mean,
KSI was on like 15 million, something like that.
What subscribers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so you've got to think that
Half of them will watch.
But the big question is now with this pay-per-view sort of platform and also product is how many people would pay to watch that fight online via YouTube. Okay,
I think they get a hefty amount.
Yeah, but if there's 15 million subscribers, that's just his customer base. That's not other random floaters.
Yeah.
So of that, if it was $4.99, how many of the 15 million would watch it? Right, 1 million. Okay, well, that's £5 million.
That's
Right.
insane, yeah.
And then you start thinking about the other guys following as well, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's
People who come from press and off the back of all that.
and they're a bit of media, and then you've got the gate. You know, if people. I mean, I would think that actually it wouldn't get a great gate because these people who are following online are more than happy to watch it online rather than like go to the O2 and like go and actually watch. Because the truth of it is, it will be absolutely shit. Like, it will be the worst fight you have ever seen. Because it doesn't matter if you can fight a little bit. When you get in there, and they will just be like, there'll be like two old women with handbags going like this, right? I mean, the bloke looks like he's in shape, both of them, but still, they're not, it'll be terrible. Terrible. So, generally with these things, you get a massive build-up, and when it happens, it'll be like, oh, it was awful. And they'll both embarrass themselves. Yeah. But they're obviously, they had every potential. They might have started this and run the numbers and gone, we could make a couple of £1 million each out of this. So what do you think? Run it. So they might be in on it. But again, I think maybe over time it's turned a little bit.
So do you think that's something that is gonna rise within the YouTube thing? Because
yeah, I think YouTube's the perfect platform for it, because no broadcaster would look at that and go, you know, imagine going to like the BBC and going, right, there's this bloke, he's online and he's had a bit of beef with this other bloke, and now they want to have a fight. Oh yes, that's definitely something we'd like on After Grandstand, you know, something like that. So, and even Sky have got the same sort of mentality of us. We're sports people, you know. We definitely think a lot of people are going to watch it, but we just can't do it. Yeah. So YouTube is the perfect platform, because it's the platform for all sort of diverse content, isn't it? And it's very easy for them to do. So, and with the YouTube sort of structure, do you either run it free with ads, you know, and make your money through it? I mean, if you ran it free, you know that 20 million people are going to watch it. So, again, going to advertisers with those numbers is yeah. Or you run a pay model where you say to people, you have to spend, you know, it could be £1, could be £5, could be £10. You know. Yeah. So they might be, you know, you may never see them again soon.
That's crazy. It's crazy how even like with YouTube football, they now using Wembley Stadium doing a YouTuber match, and it sells thousands of tickets.
Well, it's like all these guys who are doing the freestyle stuff, isn't it? I mean, they've become like celebrities, haven't they? And the kids are like, I was at a kids' party the other day, and one of them, dad like hired this freestyler, and the kids are like, it's like could have probably a bigger response than if it was like Justin Bieber. Oh my God, it's Trixie or whatever his name was. Oh my God, and they're all sitting there like, whoa. And I was thinking, my God, there's this geezer who's just like, what? Yeah. You know, sort of turned up. Yeah. But there's loads of them, isn't there?
Yeah,
and
it's mad.
It's a mad world.
If you could go onto YouTube and box somebody from the YouTube world or otherwise, from the celebrity world, public figure, who would you go for, Noz?
It's a very tough one.
Who would you go if you had to get in if you had to do one of these comic relief type things and you had to get in the ring with a celebrity?
Sounds really annoying. Someone that, like, but you got to be careful, because you got to pick someone you could definitely win. Yeah. Like, you can't sort of go out and go like, I don't know, The Rock's really annoying. I'd love to have a tear up with him. You know what I mean? So it would have to be someone, you know, more like I don't know. I mean, Ricky Gervais done it. Yeah. Didn't he? I was there at that one. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, who did he fight?
Grant Bovey. Do you remember? Yeah. It was
he won as well. Ricky.
The girls. Anthea Turner's husband. That guy. He was like.
Mine would be Richard Hammond.
You'd fight Richard
Hammond?
Hammond?
Yeah, a lot of people don't like Richard Hammond.
Or Ian Hislop. Either one of those. Both a bit.
Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
I actually spoke to him for the first time. They're quite a nice man. But I would think like a lot of people would choose like Piers Morgan.
Yeah. Do you reckon he can throw?
I reckon he might be alright. You know,
it's a bit tasty.
He's quite. Do you imagine getting sparked by Piers Morgan?
Yeah, that would be fucking embarrassing.
You've really got to choose the right opponent.
Yeah.
It's one stage, it's like, I really want to test myself.
Like, I'll go Stephen Hawking.
Warwick Davis.
Warwick Davis.
I'll go Steve Davis. DJ Thundermuscle, 100%.
Would you let Anthony Joshua fight somebody like Danny Dyer?
Yeah.
If the money was there.
Well, it's a bit like the Floyd Mayweather. I mean, obviously Conor McGregor is not Danny Dyer, but it's just getting the mix right. Like, they got away with the McGregor fight because he was like he's one of the best UFC guys, so he can fight. I mean, there's no doubt about that. So, but I think like on the bout that you just mentioned, I think you'd be doing like a 10 stretch for manslaughter, because obviously Joshua is like a complete beast, and Danny Dyer is probably quite decent down a pub, you know. But
if it's going to pull in the numbers and the money, like where do you draw the line from?
Again, it's sort of that balance of integrity, and I mean, people probably think he's talking bollocks and just fucking loves anything for a pound note, but like I genuinely love the sport, So that's why with the McGregor Mayweather, when I was watching it, I was there. I was like, I feel a bit uncomfortable with this. Do you know what I mean? Because I've seen Floyd Mayweather fight the best of the best for the last 20 years, and this is like essentially a mismatch, you know. But it's entertaining, and wow, look at the stadium. People are loving it, you know. But that's because I'm a hardcore boxing guy. So,
did you find it a bit cringy or not?
For the build-up, I was quite mesmerised, to be honest with you. I mean, they did like LA, Toronto, New York, and London for press conferences. There was 10,000 people at the press conferences. I mean, like...
Is that unheard of?
Unheard of. Unheard of. I'm looking around thinking, this is... I mean, it was groundbreaking, to be honest with you. And it was like... It was almost like it was a complete fluke. Because it just happened. You know, someone mentioned... And then you go back to social media. You know, like someone mentioned, well, Conor McGregor... So you might have got like an interview gone to Conor McGregor, like, would you ever fight Floyd Mayweather? Like, never been mentioned before. And he'd go... Or kick his fucking ass like that, and then everyone goes, "Oh my God, can you imagine McGregor Mayweather?" And that's all it needs, a spark. And then all of a sudden, they've like someone's seen, "Man, have you seen the retweets on that?
Yeah.
Or have you seen the Instagram numbers on that? Or the?" And then all of a sudden, it's in the paper. Conor says, and that's when you start thinking, "Aye, you know." But Joshua against Danny Dyer, probably not the best example.
All right, what about you v your dad?
Yeah, like, they would have gone for a lot of money. You know, like, now, but me versus Joshua is something that people would love to watch. Trust me. You know what I mean? They think, oh, he's going to get a paste in here. And I'm actually, the worst thing about it is I weigh the same as Anthony Joshua.
Really?
Right? And I look at him, I think, how is that even possible? It's really not good news either. So I look at him, he's like 17 stone. 6 or 10, I think. That's like what I weigh.
Yeah.
Have you seen the size of him? I mean, he's just a machine.
Are you same height?
Yeah. Just don't quite look the same in a pair of pants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if I weighed in, it'd be like, yeah, it's not the best.
Yeah. What's next for Anthony Joshua?
He's going to fight Kubrat Pulev, which is his #1 contender. That's at the Millennium Stadium. So I've got to a stage now. We did the Klitschko fight at Wembley, which was mad. And then he's that big that you can't take him to like the O2 anymore because it's 16,000, and it would. I'll just get stick because it's like, why are you doing it at the O2? You're not giving the fans a chance to go. And so he's a one-off in the sport of boxing in terms of a draw. There's never been anything like him before. There may never be anything like him again.
How? In what way? Because from an outsider's point of view, and as I've said, my knowledge isn't there. He does seem like boy done good. Came from rougher ends and didn't have the silver spoon. And he's made it. And that seems like quite a common theme within boxing. So what separates him from that?
Well, a few things. I mean, #1 is he's a heavyweight, and people love heavyweight boxing. It's by far been, you know, the most lucrative division of boxing for years and years. #2 is he won a gold medal in London at the Olympics. I mean, it was a great start. You know, #3 is the story. You know, was in a gang, got arrested, got a conviction, and then found boxing. And boxing, like genuinely, boxing saved his life. You know, I mean, that's the truth of it. But the thing is with Joshua is, it doesn't matter who you are, you love him. Right? So if you're you, and even you don't follow, you might watch an interview and go, he's a cool guy, isn't he? It's like, you know, if you're a young kid, like, and there's never been sort of an ambassador of the sport where young kids, a bit like going back to Tiger Woods, have actually gone, I want to be the next Anthony Joshua. Like, when was the last Eubank, you know, Nazim Hamid? You're not really, I mean, great to watch, but genuinely, a fighter that's going to up participation levels at grassroots, like Joshua. You can imagine kids punching the bag. Look at me, I'm AJ. You know, and then like women, never seen anything like it. You know, like teenage girls, like middle-aged girls, grandparents. Oh, he's lovely. Oh, he's lovely. Goes on to Graham Norton, and he's like, every word that comes out of his mouth is perfect. Yeah, he's on there. People phone me up, go, I've just seen Josh. I'm like, oh my God, he's unbelievable.
Now you've said it, I don't actually think I've ever heard anyone say bad.
But there isn't. You can't say anything. There's nothing negative about him, other than he was no good in his past. He was up to no good because he had nothing in his life. You know, and that's what happens to young kids in the community. I won't bore you with it, but the fact is that boxing can really save people in the community because it just gives them something. It gives them a bit of structure in their life, a bit of discipline, respect. And really, the government should do more to fund inner city boxing clubs, because if you go into a boxing club, I don't know, like Repton and Bethnal Green or Newham or wherever, you look around at the kids and it's full of hoodlums. You know, it's full of kids that, you know, if they weren't in here, they'd be on the street corner. You know, they'd be out selling drugs, they'd be fighting, and none of them in the boxing clubs get into trouble? None of them, because it's just about teaching. Like, and that's what Joshua said. You know, my life before I found boxing, there was no, you know, boxing's very regimented. There's a lot of structure. So it's like, right, you come in at 10 o'clock, you do your run, you finish your run, you go home, you go to sleep, you wake up, you have a bit of lunch, you come back, you do your sparring. Finish your sparring. Time you've done that, you don't want to go out and hang around. You can't even stand up.
Yeah.
So that sort of gave him the structure. Then he started thinking, you know, oh, I can compete. You know, he found boxing at 18, right? At 19, he won the ABAs, which is like the National Amateur Championships. At 20, he got on the GB team. At 21, he got silver in the European Championships and the World Championships, and actually was robbed in that. At 22, he won the Olympics. Right. At 25, he turned pro at 23. At 25, he won the Commonwealth heavyweight title. 26, he won his first world title. And 27, he unified the division. It's incredible. And he's 19-0. He's still a baby. Like, he's still learning. And that's, people like that because he's vulnerable. Like, he got knocked down against Klitschko. He looked like he was going to lose against Klitschko. He dug in, he got off the floor, and that's golden. Brits love that.
That's the underdog story.
Brits love. Do you know what? Brits actually like you to fail secretly. I mean, it's mad, isn't it? You know, you've seen it with like Frank Bruno. He was like the most popular guy in the world. He won a world heavyweight title, and he was like, oh, you're not supposed to win one, Frank. You know, you're like the good trier.
Yeah.
Tim Henman, the same. You know, it's like Andy Murray. You know, all of a sudden, he's winning. Oh, he's a bit of a boring Scot, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, if he was like losing every final, people would love him.
Yeah.
And
So
with AJ,
close.
because he does go, he's been down a couple of times and he got off the floor. They love it. They love that kind of thing. He looks $1 million. You take him to like a GQ shoot and they pull out all these clothes, and you're like, you can't make him wear them. They are terrible. And he like comes out of the wardrobe and you think, what?
Yeah.
You know, that looks the nuts. But he's just, he's so cool. He's so, and he is genuinely. If he was that, you would just be cracking up with him there, like just a real normal guy.
We'll have to get him on.
Yeah, but he's just like his life has gone so crazy, and I think it's not actually quite nice to see. If he had it his way, he'd still be at home with his mum in the flats, playing FIFA with the boys, and then after the Klitschko fight, he was doing that. Come home, 30 press outside, literally sleeping outside the flats, waiting for him to come out. And it was like, it's a shame that, because he's just, that's what he wants in his life. He lives for boxing and his pals, don't drink, don't, you know, just likes just mucking around, playing football over the park, that kind of stuff. But can't really go over the park in North London, have a go in football and think, you know, Joshua's playing football next to me.
Yeah.
So that's the price of fame.
So has he got this fight next month?
October 28th.
Is he going to do it?
The guys, I would say the guy's ranked, probably the third or fourth best heavyweight in the world. So it's a real test. But I think you're going to see from Joshua now a new level after that Klitschko fight, because he needed that fight to show him what. Because before then he was just like bosh. At that time he was like, then bosh. But just sometimes you need that little check. The hardest thing for him is he's become very wealthy, and for all these fighters who really looked upon boxing as a way out, when you get there and you've got what you've always wanted, which might be money or might be world titles. It's only the special ones that sort of put that to one side and say, no, I'm competing. I want to be the best. Continue to be the best.
And do you think that?
I think that's him. But time will tell. You know, that's probably the toughest thing. Marvin Hagler, who was a great world middleweight champion, said that it's very difficult to go out on your morning runs when you're wearing silk pajamas. And that was a great line, because that is the truth. You know, it's a horrible routine they've got. Like the weight, like it's literally like 5 a.m, go and do your hill sprints and stair runs, and you want to be sick. You know, come home, go to sleep, wake up, come on, 12 rounds of sparring. Like it's sick now. And when you've got all the money you ever dreamed of,
You might think, fuck this.
exactly.
Yeah.
But that might be. Listen, maybe that'll be him in a year. Maybe he turn around and say, "Look at Muhammad Ali done it. You know, didn't he? Went and pursued like political. You know, like he wanted to preach and go around the world and that kind of stuff. I'm not so sure Josh is going to do that, but you know, sometimes you might look at it and go, I don't want to do this anymore. Carl Froch was a great example of someone who was the best competitor I've ever seen. Like, not the greatest fighter in the world, but the toughest geezer you will ever, like, it doesn't matter if he was getting £1 or £1 million, he wanted to beat you. Do you know what I mean? And it was all about winning. And they're the special athletes. Now, it's the same for Usain Bolt or Mo Farah. Like, they're the special athletes. That even when they've achieved so much, they still have the drive
Still keep going.
to go. And that's actually, that translates on all things in life. What you're doing, what I'm doing. You know, people might say, well, you've cracked it now. You've done, you know, what drives you? It's like, well, just don't know, really. Winning. Just like
the love of the game.
Pushing yourself and just seeing how far it can go. And that's the same with being a fighter. You've got to do the same. Well, I've done that. If I won a world title, can I win every belt? You know, can I keep it for 5 years? No one's ever done that before. You know, so you've got to keep pushing yourself.
When is the date for that fight? One more time.
October 28th. Yeah.
I'll be watching for sure. I think now we will just finish on some quick Twitter questions. We've put your name out there and we've got some back.
Oh dear.
Some more light-hearted than others, but I think you'll be able to handle them. Just if you can't, just call them the geese from the Goonies.
Yeah, exactly.
Stephen West says, "What would your walkout track be if you was a fighter?"
It would be, there was a fighter once called Mickey Ward, who you might have seen the film The Fighter.
Yeah.
That's based on him. Just, I mean, again, not an exceptional talent, but a real tough guy with an unbelievable story. And he came out to Whitesnake, Here We Go Again. Not my kind of music, but like, I remember him coming out to it in a fight. And I thought, and the words are like, you know, walking down the only road I know. Like a drifter, I was born to walk alone, or something like that.
Do you know?
Yeah. Here we go again on my own. But I'm walking down the only road I know, like a drifter. Right? Yeah. Anyway, sound like. But it was like, if you listen to the words, you could actually understand.
Yeah. It suits
it's like, wow. And quite a few fighters come out to that. Actually.
You go for that?
I would come out to that. Yeah.
What would you do?
It's a tough one. I'll probably go one for people aren't expecting.
I'd go for that Mr. Power Muscle or whatever he is. What is it? Come on.
Steve Davis.
Your mate, Steve Davis.
Thundermuscle. Yeah, like little techno track. Get him out playing you live. You know, yeah.
Girls just want to have fun.
Fuck off.
I'm out. The next one, what? And I'm like, no.
Confusing.
Exactly.
Dazzle and bang.
Yeah.
There you go. Chris Garrett says, "Do you think, due to your knowledge around the sport and your lifestyle, you'd be quite handy yourself?" You said obviously you used to.
Yeah, I could. I was okay, but again, it's like this. It just comes down to the toughness. And it goes back to when you need it and you're desperate for it and you're in a fight. Like, my mentality might be, I hope this is over soon. Whereas someone else's mentality might be, I'm not stopping. You know, and when you're in a fight with that kind of person, it ain't a nice place to be.
No.
I mean, I've sparred before with like horrible animals, and after about a minute, I'm thinking, I've got 2 minutes left of this round, and please, can someone ring the bell? Do you know what I mean? And it's like bears going, like nutting me and stuff like that. It's like, you know, it's not. I'm not tough.
I'll be back in a minute.
I know, exactly. I'm not tough. You know, I mean, I probably could have a fight, but it's not. I couldn't think of anything worse than having a fight.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like you get blokes who are like in pubs thinking, fucking, if I have a tear up, thinking, I know, but I'm like, I couldn't. It'd be the worst thing. Rolling around in a pub on the floor with someone.
Yeah.
I'd do anything I can to avoid that.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you have to do it, you have to do it. But
Fair
some
play.
tough people out there.
Santino Dean said, and this is more of a challenging question.
Okay.
He says, before signing to Sky, you mentioned wanting to get rid of pay-per-views, but now you don't.
Well, I didn't actually mention that. What's his name?
Santino Dean.
Okay. What I did say was they were shit.
Right.
So the problem is the argument with pay-per-view boxing is very simple. It limits the audience, right? It's the only sport out there where the fans have to pay extra for. It's quite mad, really.
Yeah.
Outside of wrestling.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, the argument is, hold on, like, I get Premier League. I don't have to pay like £10 for Man United Arsenal.
No.
Yeah, I have to pay $16.95 for Joshua or something like that. That's because there isn't the rights fees from the broadcasters. Okay, so you look at the money that Sky are paying for the Premier League, it's obscene. You don't need pay-per-view. No, it's billions.
Yeah.
With boxing, it's not a sport where the broadcasters yet are saying, do you know what, we'll pay a couple of £1 million for that fight. So you get to a stage where the fighters are going, well, I'll fight him, yeah. All right, well, how much do you want? I want £2 million. Well, where's that coming from? You know, if it's on normal Sky, you might be able to get 200 grand. Fuck that, I'm not doing that fight. All breaks down. Yeah. So your choice is, do it on pay-per-view or don't make the big fights. And it's not even a case of, you know, oh, well, it could go on Sky, normal. Because it couldn't, because the money's not there. Don't just grow on trees. We say, oh, it's all right, mate, what do you want? 2 million? How much do you want? 2 million? Oh, great. Yeah. How much we're bringing in the show? Oh, 1.3 million. Oh, fantastic. We're doing 2.7 million on the night. What great business. So it's like you have to bring in money from other areas to pay. So pay-per-view, actually, I can't deny that it hasn't been great for boxing, but what it has done is enabled you to put on big fights and big shows that has inadvertently grown the sport. Because without them, you wouldn't have the major nights. So therefore, it wouldn't be a major sport.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have Joshua at Wembley with 80,000 people. And actually paid TV is the way things are going. And it's not great news for the consumer.
Right.
But that's not just in boxing. That's in many sport. People looking at different models. And again, you look at your business. It probably won't be long. I mean, at the moment, while the ad spend's good on YouTube, you don't really have to pay to subscribe, do you?
No.
But there may become a time when a model comes in and says, right, everyone's charging $1.99 a year.
I think that is the way it's going.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely the way it's going.
And again, I go back to people being obsessed with transactions. Maybe they don't care. If they like your content, they like your shows, $1.99 a year, whatever, $9.99 a year, whatever it is. But, the only thing about pay-per-view is if you're going to do pay-per-view, you have to deliver value for money. Because the minute you don't, like any product, the consumer's gone. And that'll hurt the sport, that'll hurt the numbers. And that's why we try and make sure that all our pay-per-views are good. And there's no better feeling than knowing that the bloke's turned his screen off or walked out the venue going, do you know what? Fucking value that was. I mean, Joshua's a great example. Like 1995. Everyone that watched it was like, what a night. They turned their, I bet people couldn't sleep that night after that fight, sitting there like buzzing with adrenaline.
Yeah.
That's when you've cracked it. There's no better feeling as a promoter. Of course, I know we want to make money, but to know that people have actually enjoyed it, spent the money, and I know it's not easy to come by 19 quid here or 100 quid to go to the fight or whatever. So to get their money, to get their attention, that's really a compliment in itself. Then you've got to deliver. And if you can keep doing that, you'll be fine.
That's like the last box tick.
Yeah,
You've
exactly.
got your
We've
money.
set it all up.
Boxers have got
Everyone's
theirs.
paid. We've done the numbers on pay-per-view.
No charge.
Now, please deliver. And we can't be responsible for the fighters delivering.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a great fight, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
But when it is great, it's a great sport.
Yeah.
When it's a great fight, for me, it's the best sport in the world. So I know that if it can deliver in the ring, then everyone walks away and says, listen, sign me up for the next one. $19.95, make it $29.95.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no, don't do that. But that's the mentality. That's how you keep people in.
If you now put Joshua's next fight on for free, then you're going to get the average, like us, me and Tom, go, free, must be fighting
I
some shit.
know,
Do you know what I mean?
basically.
And it could be the best fight in the
but
world.
also, listen, you can't deny that if it was on BBC One, the numbers would be huge. But they wouldn't pay any money.
Yeah.
So how's that?
Yeah.
And people say, well, he should just fight for what money's available. Don't work. Business doesn't work like that.
No.
Sport does. And by the way, they're going in to have a fight. They're putting their health at risk as well. It's not like he's going to have a little game of tennis or something like that. It's hardcore stuff. So they've got advisors. They've got they know what the market value is in the States or something like that. So in order to keep the big fights here, the pay-per-view model is enabling us to do it, because otherwise everyone will just bugger off to see what they can get in the States.
They have to. They have to. Final two. Kate says, what's your guilty pleasure?
Something really boring and be like...
80 biros.
Yeah, like it's just generally like chocolates and Haribos. Like it's just eating, really. Do you know what I mean? Like I always joke that I really do train hard, but to stay fat. Do you know what I mean? So like if I didn't train, I can't help it. Like the worst thing for me is I get home, got a couple of kids, put them to bed, whatever, and then it's like Mrs. goes to sleep. And I'm like just sitting there watching. I don't know if you do, or I don't even know if it's normal. But then the first thing I'm thinking of is, what's in the cupboard? Do you know what I mean? Like the fridge. So you go in, it might be like, I don't know, like for me, a little treat, and this is good for my working class mentality. Is breadsticks and a bit of ham. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So, and
Do you wrap it?
Yeah, I do. No, I dip the breadstick in the butter, wrap a bit of ham around it. That's not so working class. You know what I mean? It's not Parma ham, by the way, with a bit of asparagus on it. Yeah, exactly. No, this is even better. The ham that I like, right? I don't know if people feel the same about this. It's so cheap, the ham. Like, I don't know what it is. It's probably not even ham, but it's like £1,
really
and you
wet.
get it's dripping wet.
I call
right?
that water meat.
Yeah,
Because it's
yeah,
essentially just water.
But it's about that thick,
Yeah.
right? And when you have a sandwich, you have half of it in one sandwich, and it's like, have you been to American Subway? The Subway over here, they're like turkey. Like in America, it's like turkey, like that, and you get it at the end. It's like that. Over here, it's like squashed down. So that's what I love, ham.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I know.
What's
But
yours?
then it's like Haribos. Is there any Haribos anywhere? The kids have got to have
fizzy
some
or
Haribos.
non-fizzy?
Just really like if it's fizzy, it can
be
only really
ulcers.
be the cherries.
Oh, yeah, good
like
shout.
the cherries.
Good shout.
But if it's the star mix, then we're talking fried eggs. Friendship rings are nice.
I love that. Friendship rings.
Don't like the Coca-Cola bottles.
No, I don't.
In either variety.
I
to be
don't.
honest.
Get them called friendship
Yeah.
rings.
No,
And
so
would,
cute.
Mine would be a little pork pie.
Yeah, no, that's nice.
Or a dirty kebab.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah,
See,
pork pies
I
are
obviously got the wrong end of the stick because guilty pleasure. I thought naked attraction
Like brasses or something.
or
like that.
or Harry Styles.
Yeah. No.
Naked
You're
Attraction.
not into Harry Styles?
No, not really. I like what.
I think you could watch Naked Attraction, put a hammer around a breadstick and eat it.
Yeah. The problem is like
He's in there.
working in boxing. It's like, working in boxing. It's like it's dirty enough as it is. So like you get your vices there, like
Right.
being around like those kind of people. So when you get home, you just want a little bit of normality, which is
Yeah.
like breadsticks and ham. You know.
That's not
But on crisp, I like crisps as well, and I like. And I think I feel like you could talk for hours about variation of crisps, old school variations.
What's your favourite? What's your go-to?
Do you know, like every now and again, skips.
Yes.
Like, but
fucking love
I've noticed lately that with the skips, like, I don't know what they've done to them, but you put about 100 in your mouth because they melt in your mouth, and you sort of go.
You
It's
taste,
like,
you taste them. For
where
a
have
while.
they gone? Like, or they didn't feel like skips.
It's not
Monster
the
Munch.
same consistency. It's
No,
definitely changed.
Monster Munch, red hot Monster Munch.
No, yeah, pickled onion.
Oh,
Yeah. And if I'm going to go salt and vinegar, I'm probably going to go Disco's.
McCoy's.
But then I'm going to throw in some chipsticks every day.
Oh,
Smith's
nice.
chipsticks.
Yeah, they're decent. They're
But
decent.
I don't really like.
The
very
Maisie
nice,
ones
he's very
get stuck in your
I
teeth
do,
for
yeah.
days.
But that's nice because it's sort of they
Something a bit later.
Got, yeah, exactly.
Wheat crunchies are pretty good. If you
Nah,
like.
Wheat
fuck
crunches,
off. Don't
Worcester
talk-
sauce ones.
Oh.
I think bacon's overrated. Spicy tomato. and
Yes,
wheat
spiced
crunches,
tomato.
Yeah,
You had a swim.
Yeah.
Vending machine.
Exactly.
Spiced tomato.
yeah.
See you later.
I've not done that. But no, I've not done that. I've never had a swim and then got some wheat crunches. But,
the
you know,
vending machine.
Yeah.
I think we'll leave it there. Eddie, it's been an absolute
No worries,
pleasure, mate. Thank you
Good
very
talk
much
to
for
you. Cheers.
coming
Good
on.
luck, good luck.
Nice one. Guys, check out the Anthony Joshua fight next month. The 28th. There you go. JaackMaate Podcast. Done.
Lovely stuff.